Premier Ford is putting pressure on the federal government to begin mandatory testing of all arriving international travelers. He also wants out-of-country travelers who arrive in Canada to have to stay in an isolation hotel for 2 weeks at their own cost and ban flights from countries like the UK that have COVID variants.
I can't figure out for the life of me why we aren't testing every single person that comes through this airport and the land crossings as well. We have to lock down.
Roughly 30,000 people have been flying into Pearson International every week. On January 6th, the provincial government began a free voluntary testing program for international travelers. Since then, 6,850 took the COVID test. Even though they would have had a pre-flight screening, 146 or 2.3% tested positive, and 4 are potentially the UK variant, which is believed to be 56% more contagious. A total of 34 variant cases have been confirmed in the province. 99 more are suspected at Roberta Place long-term care home in Barrie.
So it's absolutely critical that the federal government make sure that it's mandatory to get tested.
Of course, this all falls under federal jurisdiction. What is under the Premier's control is long-term care. Today, more than 260 doctors and researchers signed this letter calling for the Ford government to take urgent action to deal with what it calls a humanitarian crisis. One demand is for rapid response teams to go into a home in crisis, whether the owner wants it or not.
Quite often, these homes are reticent to seek out help because they don't want the light shone on how terrible their outbreak is or how bad things have gotten.
The Premier has refused growing requests for military aid, and when asked again about it today, his health minister answered.
If we need to ask for the Armed Forces assistance, we will do so. But right now we have a system in place where the hospitals are supporting those long-term care homes.
But there is clearly a failure somewhere. CityNews has done multiple stories on Sunnycrest and Whitby, for example, where last month all but one resident tested positive and 34 died. An inspector's report at the start of the outbreak found a shortage of staff and concluded residents were being harmed by lack of proper care. It still took a week before the Red Cross went in. Family members found their loved ones in devastating circumstances, describing feces on the floor and the overwhelming smell of urine.
What you were just mentioning is unacceptable if patients are lying in their own urine, and I'll make sure we look into it and put the resources, whatever it takes.
Close to 40% of all long-term care homes are currently in outbreak. The second wave is expected to kill more long-term care residents than the first wave. Almost 1,000 have died in the last 6 weeks alone.